The federal investigation into Muncie police brutality is finally resolved more than 5 years after it began. Earlier this month, a federal jury found Corey Posey not guilty of obstruction of justice. Posey had faced up to 10 years in prison for writing a false report related to another officer's excessive force. He was the final former Muncie police officer to have his case resolved. Now, Posey is one of 5 former Muncie police officers indicted for using excessive force or attempting to cover it up. The other 4 officers were convicted.
Chase Winkle and Jeremy Gibson were convicted of assaulting suspects and false reporting. Sergeant Joseph Kreisha and Dalton Kurtz were convicted of false reporting.
Put your hands up. Put them on your head. Put your hands on your head.
I'm looking for my kids, man.
Put your hands. Get down. Get down.
I haven't done anything.
Tonight, for the first time, you're seeing the body camera footage that was key in that federal investigation. We're showing it to you because all 5 cases are now resolved, and it shows what prompted the feds to file charges in the first place. WRTV Investigates Kara Kenny has been following this probe from the start and joins us now with what that footage reveals. We do want to warn you, this video is very disturbing to watch.
You're about to watch body camera footage from the 2018 arrest of Lonnie Ganem. Ganem's arrest was a focal point in the federal investigation into former Muncie police officers. And when you see the video, you can see why. I've been covering this case since it started 5 years ago, and I've watched this video probably dozens of times, and it's still really hard to watch. So just a heads up, you may have a strong reaction to this as well.
Officers Corey Posey and Chase Winkle are responding to a report of a burglary when they find suspect Lonnie Ganem.
Put your hands up. Put them on your head.
Federal prosecutors say that after Officer Posey gets both of Ganem's hands, the suspect hurls an insult. Officer Chase Winkle then drops his body weight onto Ganem's head and neck.
I'm not even fighting you. My kid. Oh,
Get your hands behind.
I didn't even do anything.
Put your hands behind your back.
Oh my God, they crossed my
Give me your hands.
Federal prosecutors say what Winkle just did was deadly force. They say what Winkle does next is also excessive. He tases Ganem.
All right, tase. Stop fighting. Stop fighting.
Chase Winkle is the son of then police chief Joe Winkle. Officer Jeremy Gibson also arrives on scene. You see him punching Ganem. As a bloodied Ganem continues to struggle, an officer stomps on his face. As they lift him to seated, Ganem is kneed in the head. Officers eventually shackle Ganem's legs.
Keep your arms down. Are you
Stop
stupid?
getting up.
Relax, bud. Relax.
Get in the car.
After officers get Ganem in a police car, Winkle talks about what he just did.
I his face up when I dropped my knee on his neck when he started first pulling away from Posey, and I think it split, and I could see, or I heard him about it, I hadn't seen it yet, and then when I tased him, I could see that he was bleeding heavy, so I was trying, you know what I mean, I was trying not to him up, but he just wouldn't stop. And then did you see me launch him into the police car? Yeah. I gave him a one-legged kick into the police car.
They take Ganem to the hospital. Body cameras continue to roll as you see Ganem on a stretcher, his face bloody.
The damage has been done.
Rob King is Ganem's attorney.
The facial fractures he sustained were serious and they required surgery, and so he had a serious injury at that point in time.
Lonnie Ganem filed a civil lawsuit against the city of Muncie. King obtained the body camera videos through the lawsuit's discovery process, and he shared them with WRTV Investigates.
This situation was escalated by the officers.
I'm not even fighting you.
They reacted to his words and not necessarily his conduct.
King says the video shows Ganem was not resisting. He was scared for his life.
From a legal standpoint, I would say compelling, powerful.
Records show the Muncie City Council approved $450,000 to settle Ganem's lawsuit against the city.
Well, I think the emotional reaction of any reasonable person is it's quite disturbing.
4 former Muncie police officers were criminally charged in connection with the Lonnie Ganem case. 2 were convicted. Chase Winkle is currently in prison for assaulting Ganem. Sergeant Joseph Krasia is also in prison for false reporting in the Ganem case. Corey Posey was found not guilty of false reporting, and Jeremy Gibson was convicted on charges related to another suspect, but not for assaulting Ganem. King says Winkle's fellow officers should have stood up for Ganem and his civil rights.
No one said, hey, that's out of bounds. Take a step back. We got this. Nobody did that.
What does that say to you?
That was clearly out of bounds and unnecessary and excessive, and it says to me they should have stood up for what was right.
We were unable to reach Lonnie Ganem or his family. Prosecutors dropped criminal charges in connection with this 2018 arrest. Records show there's currently warrants out for Lonnie Ganem's arrest in unrelated criminal cases. Kara Kenny, WRTV.
Wow, Kara, that was really hard to watch. And I know you've been reporting on this story since 2019. So what has changed since then?
That's right. We reported in 2019 that the feds were investigating police brutality in Muncie. A few things have changed. They have a new mayor. They have a new police chief. We'd love to sit down with Chief Nathan Sloan to talk about moving the police department forward in light of all this. And he has not yet granted that request.
Okay, our Kara Kenny on this developing story. Kara, thank you so much for staying on top of this.